a dandy and a clown.
Not one, not two, but three doctors.
This could be construed as an invasion.
You dare threaten to destroy me? What do you think of this chap, Omega?
Frankly, I thought he was somewhat confused.
Yes, and I'm somewhat confused. Who's he?
Me.
Three of them. I didn't know when I was well off.
Hartnell, Troughton and Pertwee star in a celebration of 10 years of Doctor Who, tomorrow at 11:30 on UK Gold.
Welcome to Bow Ties Are Sometimes Cool. Myself, Ashley, and Ed. Ed, I'm pointing at you as if you can see me. There you are.
I can see you. I can see you. I can see you.
Yeah,
Hello.
no, but yeah, you know what I'm saying. And how are you, all right?
Yeah, it's dark. It's cold. But yeah, I'm fine. How's yourself?
That's just started, isn't it? Yeah, very good. Thank you. Very good. I've been off for a couple of days and I love work dearly, but it's always nice to be off, surely, isn't it? Yeah. And James joining on the iPhone again because your laptop keeps on getting stolen.
It does, and I've a feeling I'm never getting it back at this point. So,
no.
Yeah, which is a shame, as I have two books that I'm writing on there. And trying to write them on the Word app on your iPhone isn't the greatest, but there we go.
But you know, you say you think they want you to buy them a laptop. You know what I would do? I'd actually buy a laptop for yourself and then give them yours. see how they like that.
Yeah, happy Christmas, darling. It's my 7-year-old laptop.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, James, I'm going to let you introduce our guest, I think, because, as you will have seen by now, we're already being joined by a guest, or if I might have done some cute computer wizardry and pixelated our guest for a moment. But we are joined by a very special guest. And James, it's over to you to introduce, please.
Oh, I'm over the moon. So we are indeed joined by a very special guest. You'll either know her as Geek Rambles or Char. Hello, Char. How are you doing?
Hello. Thanks so much for having me. I'm so pleased to actually do something like this. So it's I've been looking forward to it. I was actually thinking about it at work, about how I was to behave myself more than anything. But unfortunately, what you see is what you get. So you might end up regretting it by the end of this. We'll see. Only time will tell.
Not at all. We don't regret anything. Believe me. They let me on, and they kept asking me back for ages before they sucked me into doing this full time.
That's probably our biggest regret. No, I mean, yes, James, carry on.
Shocking. You'd regret it, boys. No, but Char is, she's amazing. I followed her on TikTok a while back. I believe you've got quite the platform elsewhere as well. And your videos on Doctor Who, particularly New Who, are always a treat to watch. And I noticed, this isn't because I'm in any way kind of like an online stalker or anything, but I had noticed you said you'd been rewatching or starting to watch some classic Who as well, and particularly the Pertwee years. And I thought, well, why don't we see if Char would like to come and have a chat about classic Who versus New Who and see if there's a classic story in there. And I am delighted you have suggested an amazing story for us to chat about today.
Oh, I'm so glad. And that's nice. Someone stalking me. That's never happened before. No, I'm obviously kidding. No, thank you very much. I was trying to not blush during that whole thing, because it is just genuinely pointing a camera at myself and going off on one. There's no script to it whatsoever. So it's nice to at least there is one person out there that enjoys watching them. So yeah, thank you. And three doctors rather. I'd already watched, and it was something that I really enjoyed to go back on. So it's a nice one. And just as I'm getting through Pertwee, I thought, why not? And it's always a nice one, like I say, to go back on. I knew it was coming as well when I started Pertwee, so I knew that I had that to look forward to, amongst many other things. And one in particular that I don't think will go down very well, but is something that I've really enjoyed so far, and that is the Time Monster, believe it or not.
Oh, I love the Time Monster.
I love the Time Monster.
There's so few of us out there. I'd already seen it, and I'm often, I say mocked. I'm often, people look at me a little bit puzzled as to why. But I think it's great. It's an ambitious story, and it's a long one, but it's a good one.
It is, but I just think the camaraderie. It is that whole unit family there, and they're all just mates having a really good time.
Yeah.
And I think that comes across. I don't even mind the cereal bowl TARDIS thing they have going on there from the last one story. Even that doesn't bother me. But all of them were just having a whale of a time. You can chalk over any or paper over any cracks in the story because you're just seeing your mates having a laugh, and I like it. It's good.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I saw, Eddie, you were nodding your head. You were quite happy
Oh
with
yeah, I
that.
mean, back before I knew about established fandom, it was something I watched and I really like, and I didn't realize you weren't meant to like it, and I absolutely loved it.
Welcome
And
to fandom, right?
yeah, it was only when my first fandom meeting, I went in with the latest Virgin New Adventures novel, and everyone looked at me like I'd sort of killed their pets. So it was one of them. So it hasn't changed.
Oh yeah, never
But
changed.
no, it was one of those. I loved it. I didn't, and then what you like the time monsters? Yeah, and then I realized there's stories you've got to like and stories you're not allowed to like, and I didn't realize that. So I made a big social faux pas in my first meeting. But no, I love it. I mean, it's got, like I said, the unit family. It's got the Master. It's got all the bits in Atlantis. It's got Kronos. It's got that brilliant monologue the Doctor gives when he says it was the daisiest daisy of them all, and it gets me every time. That makes me well up every time. It's fantastic.
Oh, I'm so
So yeah,
glad.
and there
I'm
was
in
a
good
sequel as
company.
well. There was a sequel as well. The BBC books in the 90s. There was a sequel of the Sixth Doctor. It's even more bonkers.
Hey, is that where
I
you
think
get
that's
your
what it is.
t-shirt, your tattoo from then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the daisiest daisy tattoo just there. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
great.
So yeah,
Love that.
that's where I got it from because I just love that scene. There's lots of little moments of charm like that with the Third Doctor. There's him and Joe. There's a real, not humanity, I don't know, but sort of like a compassionate, empathic side to him that a lot of the others don't show. So yeah.
It's a welcome change. It is a welcome change. I mean, I'm so unlucky, of course, and like a lot of people are, that I didn't get to see a lot of Troughton. And I'm not massive on audio either, so it's been a bit of a one for me. But at least we've got two in the Sidemen, right? So that's fine. But yeah, Time Monster for me is, I mean, obviously I got is it just because Benton didn't have his clothes on? I mean, yes, but also no. It was the Master. I agree with you. It was the Master for me. And what I want in a Master, and Delgado is so perfect at it, is the hypnotism element of the Master and drawing his foes in. I just love that. But I love that that's kind of where it started. I know that he was the first, of course, it's where it started, but where you kind of like, these two aliens, they kind of like each other just a tiny little bit. They actually do. I think they might be bros, but then obviously, that's not the case, but it's fine. I love that. I think it's just because Inferno comes pretty much after, or just before, actually. I'm already getting my ordering wrong. So I think that people get a little bit, they fall in love with the Inferno and think that anything that's not
Mhm.
that isn't on par. But I would disagree. It's one of those where
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'll go back to that.
Well, that's the beauty of the show, though, isn't it? We said that before, and not the only ones to say it can be anything. It can
Mm.
be high drama, comedy, a ghost story. It can be whatever you want. It doesn't have to be. If you had, 7 Infernos a year, you'd get bored of it very quickly.
I agree.
Hold on one moment.
Great story, though. But,
I'm just gonna grab that sequel book. Give me a second.
Love
there he
that.
goes.
Oh,
This is such a great Doctor Who thing, isn't it? And this is when you know you've got Doctor Who fans in the room. It's when you can pick out anything, but hold on a minute. Let's just get some extended media out. I did a quiz show like about a year ago, and I can't even remember what it was, but it was a quote from a line, and we all had to check because we all four, I think it was 4 or 5 of us, we all got it wrong. So I think it was, you might know these people actually. One was Adam from AMTV, if you know Adam Martin. We had Stephen Noonan, a really good friend of mine. We had Mr. TARDIS, also a good friend, just people like that. Oh, and I don't know if you must know him, but Rich from Clever Dick Films.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had them on. It was more. It's nothing to do with the quiz. It's just have a laugh and have a drink while you're at it if feeling up to it. And it was a case of someone quoted a line and someone went, "Is that what it actually is?" And before you know it, we've all got extended media coming out of our heads. I'll stop now. It's your go.
I can't disagree with any of that. And we focused that on this as well. We're always arguing over the exactly correct delivery of a line or what have you. But anyway, before we get on to the Three Doctors, and while Ed's searching for his
I've got it. I found
expanded
it.
media,
Oh, that was
Got
quick.
it.
got it.
Yeah, Quantum
Go on.
Archangel,
Love
Sixth
it.
Doctor sequel to the Time Monster. It's even more crazy than the Time Monster.
We're lovers of chaos, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gutted. I sold all of my BBC books a while back. Sold them all.
Oh, I hope you made a packet.
I did make a few bob actually.
Did you?
Yeah, I was dragged away by the family for a holiday that I insisted for a year we couldn't afford, and they wanted to go anyway. So I've got to find some way of paying for this. So bang went most of my collection. But hey, that's life. Anyway, go on, give us a rough synopsis then. What's the Quantum Archangel about?
Okay, so it says, I've got my glasses on, so I should be able to read this. Hear me, Lord of Time. We are a vengeful people. Our reach is infinite, and our patience eternal. For your actions, we will have vengeance, and the vengeance of the Chronivores is terror beyond imagining. 5,000 years ago, the priest kings of Atlantis attempted to enslave Kronos, greatest of the Chronivores. They failed, with catastrophic results. 30 years ago, the master sought to do the same and barely escaped with his life. London, 2003. Torn apart by tragedy, the Doctor and Mel have gone their separate ways, only to find their paths crossing once more. While the Doctor tries to stop an old friend from making a terrible mistake, Mel is horrified to learn that her best friend has fallen under the influence of the Master. As the Master desperately tries to defend himself against the power of Kronos, the Doctor and Mel must overcome their differences. If they don't, the Quantum Archangel will be triumphant, and if she is, nothing in the universe will ever be the same again.
Wow.
It's even madder than it sounds.
To be honest, Ed, through all of that, I had a slight delay going on in my head because you were delivering it with such power that in the back of my head, I was hearing Joe Pasquale. Anyway, moving on.
Well, that's what it's about anyway. It doesn't really tell you much. It's just words, but yeah.
It's just words.
Yeah.
So go on, Char. I'm going to. I mean, this is a horrible presumption. I'm going to assume you came to the new series first.
Well, I'd have been gutted if you said I'd gone classic first. I'll be honest. Yes, of course. I started it with Eccleston after a great review from my granddad, actually, who started at Hartnell. So I think I've told this story once or twice, but about how it was described to me. Did I tell you that? I think I might have told you that actually. So he said the Doctor Who was coming back. I had no idea what it was. Never heard of it in my life. My mum said, "Oh, I think it's just a bit weird," and that was it. And then my granddad said, "Oh yeah, but I remember watching it when I was young. It was about this old guy that goes around with a schoolgirl, and apparently that was fine." But of course, no context. So what was I going to do? And then I didn't watch the first two, and then I was round his, and he'd been really enjoying it, and it just so happened to be a Saturday when The Unquiet Dead was airing, and that was so good. You know, when the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, and I was like, "Oh, this is a bit of me." And then I've loved it ever since. I've never ever looked back.
Oh, that's amazing. And what an episode to start with. Unquiet Dead was fantastic.
I know, right?
Oh,
yeah,
God.
I was so lucky.
It was. That's when it was hitting its stride. I remember watching Rose for the first time and thinking in that first 10 minutes, this could go either way. I'm not quite sure whether I like it or not. And then, yeah, fortunately, it went the way I liked. And I was hooked again. But so when you've I don't want to say grown up. I'm making all sorts of assumptions tonight.
Go for it. I'm 30 years old if you need to know. I'm 31 next month, so go for it.
I'm having a very tismy day today. I'm falling over words and everything and making silly comments. So having grown up with the show, were you always wanting to try Classic Who, or was it something you were kind of reluctant to because it's not made to the same standard, to put it mildly?
It isn't, depending on how you look at it, I guess. I had no interest in Classic Who whatsoever. Of course not. I was, I would have just thought it's going to be black and white. It's going to be rubbish. I'm not going to enjoy this. And I suppose it got to the point where I could recognise an episode of Doctor Who from a single frame, where I was like, I need to know that there is actually more of this. And I stumbled upon, I do kid kind of, but I stumbled upon An Unearthly Child completely by accident. Because I was like, how did this start? And I genuinely just saw it and I thought, oh, I swear that's like the first one. And I thought it was one of the best things ever. Honestly, I thought it was so good. That's the first episode of a show made on like a shoestring, literally with paper and string, I would say. And then it was actually quite recent. And then I watched An Adventure in Space and Time. And I was like, I need to know how this has gone and how this has become such a thing for so many decades now. So
then, okay, you've done your journey. You're a big fan of New Who. You've invested in the classics now, and we get to tonight's story, The Three Doctors. Why have you picked this one, Char?
I think it's something where you have got something for everyone. It is an episode where if you want a bit of drama, you can have a bit of drama. If you want a bit of humor, you can have a bit of humor. And if you want to see the other two doctors, obviously one of them, unfortunately, very briefly, then you can. And I think it's a really good, if you want to start with classic, I think it's actually not the worst place to start either. I think you get a really good grasp of who each doctor is. And even with Hartnell, bless him, not being able to perform how I'm sure he would have wanted if he was healthier, you
Mm.
still see like what his doctor's all about. And I just love it.
Yeah, he's still got it, hasn't he? Even if he's
Yeah.
only got a few comments here and there, he's never lost his love for that role, has he at all? It's one of those again. I think I found out. I'd always assumed he chose to retire because of ill health, and then you find out years later actually he was pretty much forced out by the end, um, which is a shame. But I'm glad he got that last hurrah, even if it was a small part. And I don't know if it's true. Ed, you might know. You're as geeky as I am on these things. I'd heard that um, William Hartnell's wife didn't know he'd agreed to take the job. And then when
Yeah,
the BBC had rung up to confirm his booking, whatever, she said he's not well enough to do it. So, well, we spoke to him and he said he was. But he's not. So,
that's the story that's told. I mean, whether there's any truth to it, I don't know. But yeah, apparently they got him on a really really good day, and he goes, yeah, yeah, I'd love to. And then like his poor old Heather said, no, no, you can't. You're spot on there. That's the story I've heard.
Oh,
And then allegedly they filmed it in his garage, all blacked out with cue cards, so he could read the lines off. And the poor old guy. Yeah,
bless him. Bless him. But hey, what a legend.
oh,
What a
well,
legend.
yeah, we got some great fluffs out of him, didn't we? I mean, some of the best.
Hartnellisms.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the best ones ever. So, and I think that when you say it with so much confidence, it still works somehow.
It absolutely does, and I love. I wish they did more of it in TV now, because in those
Mm.
days you're filming so much of it almost live, like a play. You can't afford to reshoot, so you strip over your words and you keep going. Um, it just makes it more real. Because
Mm.
as you'll have discovered tonight, I can't say two sentences without tripping over. Most people are going to fluff, aren't they? So I think it's just more authentic, and I do love that about Bill. And Pat Troughton is no, the guy's just a joy, isn't he? In everything, and he's one of those actors. Whatever part you give him, he will absolutely live and breathe it. And again, he just seemed to have so much fun coming back for that story.
You can tell. You can tell. I really like it. But he sort of emulates Joy for me. And I like I say, I'm so unlucky, but I think that voice, that face, the way he is, it just everything about it. Even when it's sad, and he's talking to Victoria, if my memory fails me, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "No one else gets to do this." It's not a quote, obviously, but we are the only ones. And I'm just like, "Oh my God, I so want to be there." Be that person that's there with you too.
Yeah, yeah, he had such depth to everything. Everything he said. He was the playing. He said stereotype now, playing the clown, and you're more serious underneath. But I think he absolutely mastered that, because he could be exactly with that speech with Victoria and Tomb of the Cybermen. Um, it can just have you moved to almost tears, just with a slight change in inflection. Um, and of course, we get the real treat in the Three Doctors with that interplay with Troughton and Pertwee.
Oh, it's the
Um,
best.
my God, I could watch them all day long. Just the
I think
Pertwee
I
and Troughton.
did. At one, at one point, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I think they did something for children in need or something like that. And they were even like pretending to argue even then. I think it became such a running thing at that point, that they really played on it. And I think that that's a genius move. Not only in writing, but for the actors to play on that as well, because they know what the audience wants, I guess.
They do have a couple of old pros like that. I've heard they didn't get on when they first started, and then they became such close mates by the end, and spent
Could
a
be the
lot of time.
case that that's how it was born. You never know.
Yeah, because Troughton liked to ad lib and mess around on set, and Pertwee was all very, no, we stick to the script and do it proper.
I had actually heard that. Yeah, now you've said it, I have heard that story that he's very straight, as in like Pertwee, sorry, very straight, much straight. Pertwee is very much a straight arrow, whereas think, as you say, I mean, these guys are stage actors though, so they
Mhm.
can turn it on a dime. So I suppose that's where, the ad libs came from. I think I was having this conversation with my partner. I think we were watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, weirdly. And, and he was like, you just don't get actors. That's where the grandpa gets up and starts dancing. Strangely enough, when he's been in bed for God knows how long, but that's another story. He gets up and starts dancing. He's like, you don't get actors like that anymore. I said, yeah, but these are stage actors who can act, sing, and dance. You don't need to have that anymore unless you are indeed a stage actor.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that that's the beauty of it. But there is a charm to black and white, I will say, and there is a charm to the dodgy effects and the shaky TARDIS walls. I kind of love it.
Oh, there is. I mean, when I was a kid, I wasn't. I'm not that old that I watched the Three Doctors live, but I grew up in the '80s and seen it. And yeah, if I watch them now, objectively speaking, the effects are crap. But I didn't notice that when I was a kid watching it. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was brilliant. I thought the wobbly TARDIS set was the best thing I'd ever seen in my life. It's just the charm of the show holds it together. So go on. I've talked a lot tonight, and that's never a good thing. So, who wants to kick off? Ash, are you sitting this one out, or are you going to join in with your Three Doctors memories?
Well, okay, so Char, just to explain, I mean, I do like Doctor Who. I'm very much about the Sylvester McCoy period, and I've watched all bits of the others, but these guys are very much Doctor Who. I'm sort of perhaps other things like, I don't know, Star Wars and Walking Dead, Back to the Future, Batman, other stuff like that. So I've not necessarily seen as much of classic Who as these guys by far, but I have seen this, and you know what? I really like it. It's really, to be fair, there's little things in there that I like. I like the bit where like Troughton and Pertwee, they're sort of trying to connect to each other. You get that little flicking through that little special effect of flicking between them, little things like that. Lovely humor playing off of each other. I just love the little jibes that are in there. They're really good, really good. Pertwee's quite. I thought in this one, it's the first time I noticed how authoritative he was, because there were some scenes where he was kind of being normal. Well, not normal, just having a chat like this, yeah. And then he was like, "Get back!" Now I know his Doctor's always quite dramatic, yeah, but like it seemed extreme. And what was it when he said, "Get behind Bessie. When I say run, run," and he's just like, it's all very like, all right, calm down, John. You weren't like that when I remember you in Wheels Gummidge. So which I did watch for the first time round because I'm much older, the new show, but not as old as not as old as young Ed. Sorry, Ed. But loads of stuff. I mean, monsters. But for its time, what year was this, guys? Actually, this would be going back to the when would
Oh,
it
I'm
be?
gonna say
It was
72.
broadcast. Yeah, it was broadcast. It started broadcasting late 72 into 73.
So you think about it. I mean, yes, for its time and the fact that they've virtually got no budget, the effects on it are actually quite good, really, aren't they? Like, I would struggle to do some of the effects now on my laptop, and that's because I got a rubbish laptop. No, but even now I would struggle. So I think it's got lots of stuff going for it. It did help explain some things for me because obviously when we come into Sylvester McCoy's era, we're looking at the Hand of Omega and stuff. So actually that was quite handy. Gave me a bit of a backstory, which I didn't really understand. Perhaps I just kind of went with it. So that was really good. Couple of hours. I mean, I did find that's the only thing, and that's probably because I've been watching New Who more recently. I do find like 4 hours, no, 4 episodes, 2 hours. Yeah, my concentration is just not what it was. It's like this is a long story, and that's not even some of the longest stories. Weren't like some of the Hartnell ones, like 7, 8 episodes or something like that. You'd be like, come on now, hurry up. Really, to be fair, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's a really, really poor summary, but the fact that I enjoyed it is the main thing. I think is what we should take from that. So yes,
Absolutely.
and now over to Ed.
Okay, right.
Ed, you're going to give a great critique now, Ed. So and I'll just say ditto at the end. Yeah.
Sure. So I first saw this story late 1981. It was on the Five Faces of Doctor Who thing. There was a series they showed of repeats just after Tom Baker left and before Davison started to get you used to. There had been other Doctors before Tom Baker because he'd been Doctor Who forever, and they showed An Unearthly Child, the Crotons, Carnival Monsters, but they also showed the Three Doctors and then Logopolis. And then that would next week then Peter Davison would take over. So this was shown as like a bonus one. So I absolutely loved it because I first of all I like Pertwee from the first Pertwee I ever saw was Carnival Monsters because I even though I was alive during the Pertwee era, I was too young to remember it. I was too little to remember it. But I liked Pertwee's Doctor. And I really liked we got the bonus, and I'd never seen Troughton's Doctor, and he was my mum's. Troughton was my mum's favourite. She really liked him. So it was really great to see. So I saw it then, and then I didn't see it again until it came out on VHS in probably the late 80s, early 90s. And then watched it last night and this afternoon. And what strikes me is the threat level in it. You don't usually get that sort of threat level building so quickly. It's sort of 10 minutes into it, and the Doctor, and you don't usually see this, but the Doctor is absolutely completely out of his depth. And for the third Doctor to be completely out of his depth, you know there's something, it's bad. Like you could imagine Troughton's Doctor being out of his depth with and pretending to be out of his depth, but not the third Doctor. He's the real, don't worry, come here, my cloak, my arms around you, everything's going to be all right. And for him to have to call for help, you know things are really bad. So it really did have that really heightened level of threat that this is something special. This is something we've not seen before. This is something dangerous. You see the Time Lords. You haven't seen the Time Lords for like 3 or 4 years. Again, you got those lovely introductions to the second Doctor coming in. I think a lot of people thought it was from a missing episode, but it wasn't. It was specially filmed. And the first Doctor as well. A lot of people thought that was from the missing episode, The Massacre, but it wasn't. It was specially filmed, it was in a I can't remember right, but yeah, apparently it was specially filmed. Anyway, but the story, I mean, whereas Ash says the 4 episodes are too long, I think it's great because you've got the build up to the cliffhanger, then the reprise, so you can split it up quite nicely into 4 episodes. And watching episode 3 and 4 earlier on today, my wife pointed out how really effective the end of season 3, the end of episode three's cliffhanger is, where he has a fight with the dark side of Omega. Because she says she says that's really good, even by today's standard. That's a really good mask, and it's shot fantastically. So it's a sort of a celebration without overtly being a celebration. It doesn't seem a forced celebration. It seems like just another week for the third Doctor with Unit, but bigger. And you've got Joe in there, the archetypal companion for the third Doctor. You've got Unit. I mean, there's no Captain Yates, but that's a fine. There's no Master, but I think that would be over egging the pudding having the Master in it as well. But I think the Brig, he's at his best and at his worst in this. First of all, he's got his stupid head on because this person who's seen, he's a bit like Scully in the X Files. It's sort of so aliens that you see them every week, Brig, but you can't believe that the TARDIS is like that, and you think you're in Chroma. Come on, but on the other side of it, right at the very end, I got really emotional when it's all show don't tell. He does it without saying anything. So the Brig goes up to go through the column of steam. And he just turns and he pauses before he salutes. And he's almost like, yeah, thanks, Doctor, you've saved the world, but I don't think I'm ever going to see you again. And it just sums up the Brig in one little action. That's the sort of man he is, and that's the sort of man he was, and that's what he thinks of the Doctor. Saying about stage actor Stephen Thorne, what an amazing theatrical performance. I mean, he doesn't chew the scenery, he sort of crushes it down and has it for breakfast. But it's not it's not cheap. It's not naff and camp. He's got a real sense of power and tragedy to his character. He's almost like, something in a Shakespearean tragedy. He's got this wonderful godlike being that the Doctor reveres, reduced to being someone that can't even leave his own front room. It's quite tragic in a way. And then you've got the lovely sort of 70s stoic British ending where they all just shake hands. Well, that was a fun adventure, wasn't it? And then Mr. Ollis goes back to his wife and says, "You never believe me. Is my tea ready?" And yeah, but I loved the Three Doctors, and I love it even more now watching it with a bit of a gap to it. I'd never really noticed the threat level before being so dangerous so quickly. So yeah, really fantastic episode. Thank you for suggesting it.
Oh, pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure. Who's next?
Pertwee has a good.
Oh,
I
you
just want
talk.
to say off the back of that though, Pertwee has a good fight, doesn't he? With Omega's
He does.
dark side as well.
Yeah,
He's
that's
all
the
going
bit,
on.
that's the bit Haley was saying was really impressive earlier on. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, an interesting thing as well. We were saying about the effects. I remember saying to my wife when Eccleston came back, "Do you think in 20 years I'll be watching this and saying, God, that looks rubbish?" And the only thing watching the sort of the early Eccleston era now, the only thing that really dates it is the tech. The
It's that
TVs
damn
look
wheelie
old.
bin.
Yeah,
It's
the
the wheelie
TVs.
bin in Rose.
Yeah, yeah, didn't look great at the time, though, did it? But it's the TVs that are in people's houses and the mobile phone that Rose has got. The tech really, really dates it, but everything else looks fine. Yeah, it has stood the test of time.
Great,
So
But
great.
yeah.
I'm
Anyway,
glad.
I'll stop talking now.
I just agree with everything you said, Ed. It's spot on. Spot on, mate. I was thinking that. I just couldn't say it. James! James,
Yes.
what do you think? We're gonna leave Char to later because obviously it's Char chose it, so makes
Fair
sense, doesn't
play.
It's my fault.
it?
Well, I always pick good and bad points, and I am struggling to find things that I don't enjoy about this story. I suppose, and it's just it's just as circumstances of the time. I like seeing the Time Lords again, but it's probably the start of that trend where this great, all-powerful, mighty race are actually pretty half-assed about things. They're actually pretty easy to take over. Um, and I don't like that. I like the Time Lords to be revered and almost unknowable and unseeable. So although I like seeing them, because I don't think any production team will ever have the money available to do justice to what I think you should present the Time Lords as. They'd look like a bunch of guys in a studio. So I don't know. I like seeing them, but I also wish they were just bigger, and I wish it wasn't so easy to drain them of all their power. Somehow, I like the idea of them being almost godlike. But that is a very minor quibble, and I do love that they brought back a couple of previous actors. I think the guy playing the Chancellor was one of the judges from the War Games, which Barry Letts said was quite intentional because they wanted to have that continuity with the War Games. And one of the other Time Lords there was, I think, in Colony in Space as well as the representative. I might have got the story wrong, but I like that because they were deliberate continuity nods from the production team at the time. I will happily gloss over what looks like can be production effects now, apart from the fact that I'm camp as hell. I love that stuff. But yeah, the monsters, the gel guards or whatever they were called. Okay, yes, they were very clearly guys in sheets. But so what? It worked. It was still effective. Stephen Thorne, my word, it was amazing. What a voice! What a voice! I thought that was great. What I like about the overall story, because I think the story flows narratively very well. I didn't think there was any padding in there. I thought it was nicely constructed and just the right size. And I agree with you, Ed. Yeah, you kind of want to see the master in everything once you've seen Roger Delgado once, but it would have been too much to have forced him in there. Interesting as well, they wanted Jamie in there, but his Emmerdale farm, as it was, commitments got in the way and he couldn't come back. That would probably then have been too many characters in there. Would have looked quite different. I liked Jo being Jo's the incumbent companion. I like her having that lead role. I wouldn't have liked her to have to share it with anybody else. And Fraser being Fraser, he would have taken over that show completely. So I like that Jo was front and center. And I love that there is a reason for the Doctors being there. I mean, we all like to see multi-Doctor stories. But it's very, very easy to have multi-Doctor stories where there is no need to be one at all. But each Doctor, there's a reason for them being there. It's a little conceit, yeah. It's artificially constructed. Oh, we need 3 Doctors to deal with this problem, but they each have a part to play that's quite legitimate. And I think 3, ideally 2 with one other, is the perfect way to do that. You start shoehorning Doctors in left, right, and centre, it becomes more problematic, as I think we see in the 5 Doctors later. But here they all work so well together. There is a narrative reason for them to be there, and it works. It works like a treat. I think the chemistry of them all is an absolute delight. I think I agree with you, Ed. I don't like the Brig being a buffoon. You see the Brigadier from The Invasion, or Spearhead from Space, or the Silurians. where he's a pretty cold heart in a lot of ways. You know, he makes that decision at the end. He's going to blow the caves up and kill all the monsters, totally against what the Doctor wants him to do. And they are that first season, season 7. Pertwee and the Brigadier are almost antagonistic towards each other. They have this very grudging respect. The Doctor has to work for him because he's reliant on the Brigadier's protection almost. Brigadier relies on the Doctor because he can't deal with these threats by himself, but they clearly are totally at odds with each other. And I think we lost that as we got, you know, more deeper into Pertwee's era, and the Brigadier became more and more the stereotypical military buffoon, which is a shame, although Nick Courtney does a great job of playing that because he's a great actor, so he can do the comedic elements as well. So, yeah, the chroma thing, it's funny, it works, it makes a laugh, but I just think it's a shame that they went in that direction with the character. That's why I'm really glad we got Battlefield years later, where we had that, you know, and Mordrin Undead, we had that nice full redemption, where he came back to being a much more serious character and not play for laughs. So I think it's a show that it needed to be made, but I think there was a reason for it to be made, and it works very, very well. And whatever flaws there are in production values or whatever, they are very minor, and it's very easy to watch it, gloss over it, and just have a laugh.
Crikey, James, that was serious, wasn't it? I mean, yeah, great, James, great. No,
Sorry,
I love it. No, he's spot on as always, as always. But I just do love those. I'm not, yeah, don't criticize the sets. I love them. So let's come to Char then. Char, what do you think? I wonder.
I think it was very mean for you to make me go last after 2 great reviews. But this is one for me. I actually probably watched it for the first time, I would say 2 years ago, so very, very recently. And then I've got to be honest, I fell asleep. I thought I'll watch it in the evening, like, you know, I'm going to bed, I'll make it like my nighttime viewing. And always woke up to Carnival of Monsters. So I think I've got Time Monster literally just before that. You're quite right about not having the Master. I think that was quite heavy to have the Master in the story literally just before. So I think it was a great move to not have the Master in it. Um, and I always love a bit of Unit, so I'll never say no to Unit. And I think that's the first time that I actually believed for a second that they actually had a bit of budget. Obviously, we've been very earthbound, and to the way that they explain certain things away as well. I mean, obviously they're going to the reality, well, say reality black hole, and they try and navigate around that. I like that that was very cleverly done. So we're not actually on Earth anymore, guys. That was quite nice. I also like how they explained that it's antimatter. The creature is antimatter, so that's why we can't, you know, see it as I'm sure it probably would be seen today. In fact, no, let's not touch on today's Omega. So, so I really like that. I think it is actually coincidentally the first time, and I think there's a quote I love from it, and I think it is Benton. Yes, where you assume as someone who has only ever seen someone say it's bigger on the inside. For him not to say that was like a treat for me. I love that kind of thing. I think I can't remember the exact quote, but I think he said, "Well, are you going to say it's big on the inside?" And he goes, "Well, I thought that'd be obvious, wouldn't it?" So I love that. I love that, and it just shows, you know, that it's the self-awareness of it is great for me. I love Jo in it as well, but I think she's excellent. I like it from the first second that she was called a ham-fisted bun vendor. I have to be so careful when I say that. I loved her from the moment she did that and when she beat the Doctor at drafts, but that's another story. Um, so I'll always love seeing her. And I think that what I love about this story and Jo in particular, and I think it did set a little bit of a pathway for her not just being a damsel in distress. Um, I love that anyway, but I think you can have that with anyone. It doesn't have to be a companion, doesn't really have to be anyone because the Doctor will save you anyway, right? And I really agree with Ed that it is one of those where you're kind of like, we've not really got an idea of where this is going to go because that is pure danger. I mean, we have experienced that before, but Pertwee's very good at making you believe that he has control over a situation, but he's also very good at making you believe that he hasn't. And in this case, it was that. And I love, everyone will always talk about obviously the second meeting the third. or vice versa. And that taking the recorder out. Um, and the Beatles reference. But anyway, that's another story. But it was more about how, yes, they have a laugh. Yes, they, don't get on first meeting, but also how they do realize and recognize that they need each other. And that, yes, okay, it's really bad that two doctors have met, but they know that something really bad is happening if that's the case. And I would love to just mention how great Omega is, and the gravitas of that man, that voice is. He could make me do anything, I think, if he said it with, the right tone. It's kind of, the name escapes me. The man who voiced the Beast and Sutek.
Oh, Gabriel Wolf's.
That's it. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's got that level for me. I think that's when you know that you've got a pretty good villain, especially one that where you believe that the Doctor is frightened of this. If you're When you see the Doctor frightened, it's something that we don't see that often anymore, unfortunately. But when you see the Doctor frightened, and you don't see it very often, you sort of think, this is, this is really bad, and I do believe we're actually in quite amount of danger, So I love that kind of thing, and it's something that I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think started the sort of tense movement, if you like. The first time I genuinely thought, I don't know how you're going to get out of this, and what is even better is there is no ex machina, which is very difficult to not do, but something that, being a revival girl, I just see all the time. It's nice that that actually isn't a thing. And then when I actually did manage to watch it the whole way through, because I think I know the first episode off by heart now, because I watched it so many times before going to sleep. It's and that's why actually I agree. That's why I agree with you, Ash, because it is long, but only if you make it. I think that if you can, I think it's very easy to retain. And I'd actually love to go back to that. I would love a serialized series, I guess. But one with, yeah, I would love a series long story. I think it would defeat the element of the mystery box that we get nowadays. There is none of that in Classic Who. Maybe a couple, arguably, but I think a majority we don't. Um, and to have a companion that almost reminds me a little bit of Donna, and I'm going to explain why, because that might be a really strange comparison, but one that will let the Doctor know when he's being a bit of a, bit of a one. Don't know if this would be broadcast pre-watershed or post, so I won't say anything other than that. But we'll also support him. We'll also, if he needs her, we'll always be there for him. So I really love their relationship, and I really think it does help with this. And oh my God, bless her, when the second Doctor's there and she is so confused and she just wants an answer and she's not going to get it. And I think she reacts probably how we'd all react, where we're just sort of like, you know what, fine. I don't know what's going on, but I don't need to at this point. I'm absolutely fine with that. But I think on the whole, just a story as it is lovely. I'm such a big fan of it, and I think to get such a great response out of people that have either grew up with classic or new, I think it's just more of a testament to anything else. Not my favorite, but I love it. So yeah, I just really like it. I love Unit, and I know that we mentioned about the Brigadier and the sort of buffoon moments, but I do give him a lot of grace. I know you guys have glossed over it and you said, we can absolutely paper over those cracks, which is fine. But I think sometimes he's just had a bit of enough. But Benson's great in it, and I like that. Yeah, there are sometimes I understand where you're like, we don't need the Brigadier to be silly. I think there's a difference between being silly and stupidity. I've said that before, and I'll say it again. I think you need those moments sometimes, and mainly, I love how the first Doctor does just come in and fix it, and the parts that they play. I'm gonna make it, well, say it as it's my opinion anyway. Is that Troughton, I think, was the blueprint for having a Doctor that can play the fool, but can also be the cleverest man in the room. So I love that, and that's why I love him. Pertwee's I would say he's more on the serious side and authoritarian side. But when you see the first, you're like, yeah, he is the main gaffer. He is the one who will tell you, how it is. And I think his delivery, despite him unfortunately being so unwell, um, I remember that. I think a lot of people that watch it will just remember his speech, and he was on camera for, I want to say 2, 3 minutes. Um, so yeah, I think it's great to bring that in, and no wonder multi-doctor stories were born from there on in. We won't count the two doctors because, quite frankly, I thought that was rubbish. I'm very, very sorry. Um, but other than that, yeah, loved it. Sorry, I've gone on too long and think I've repeated the same point about 4 times, but I really like this story.
No such thing as too long. Talk away. It's great. Yeah, and good points. You know what? I'm open to being persuaded about the brig. And I think you're right. It's funny moments. It's not that they're presenting him as a stupid man, but just those moments of, as you say, he's had enough. Right, whatever.
Yeah.
You've changed your face 3,000 times. I'm suddenly in another planet. I don't want this anymore. I'm going home. I'm
Yeah,
going home with Doris.
he has those moments as well, of course. Like, when the fourth doctor flies off, and he's like, ah, too late. Just think moments like that. I think it just really shows, and I think it's good. I don't disagree that it's silly, and a man who is a brigadier should probably have a bit more about him with that. But I just think that at the end of the day, they're dealing with to quote Colin Baker again, I will say it till I die, I think. It's a bloody alien to start with. So I think that sometimes even unit could have that. And then forgive me, the one in the Tennant era, the Brigadier there,
Ah, yeah.
um, has a
I forget
similar
his name.
sort of thing where he will be as serious as he can be, and then at some point just be like, "Oh, Doctor, oh
Mhm.
come on!"
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that, and it's so sad that Nicholas Courtney never got to come
Oh,
back and
no.
revived.
Yeah. I mean, I did watch. My eldest used to love the Sarah Jane adventures.
Yeah,
So I did finally watch his last appearance in the Hooniverse, and it was lovely. It was nice to see, but you just wish he could have made it into that into the main series, don't you? But
yeah,
hey, the guy's loved and he leaves a legacy, so fair play to him.
absolutely.
And great points. I mean, both Ed and Shah have said about Pertwee and his authoritarian. He comes across more authoritarian, and it's a great point, Shah. He the first time I think I've seen any of the doctors really genuinely scared. Like I don't think I'm going to beat this. I mean, there are elements where you think the doctor thinks they're facing death, and obviously is regenerated twice by then. But they always seemed to think they'll win in the end, and this time doesn't. It's no, and that awe when Pertwee in particular is talking to Omega,
Mm.
the guy's almost it's literally like talking to a god. It's
Pretty much, yeah.
yeah. Um, and again, stage actors a great level of performance. But Pertwee's Doctor, he's always a lot more anti-establishment than he likes to make out. He's dressed in velvet jackets and the frills and hangs around in gentlemen's clubs with the brig. But he's very, very anti-establishment. He's anti-authoritarian. And as much as he jibes at the brigadier and has a pop at him and mocks him or whatever, if anybody else comes in to mock the brig, the doctor's
Gloves are
there.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Straight away, it's no, you don't. And he even does that to Joe at a couple of points, I think, as well. And he said, this guy's your boss. Stop it. So I love that. But on this occasion, yeah, he is trying to be more assertive, but whilst masking the fact that he's scared as hell.
Mm.
It's a great approach. Great approach. Where do you stack Doc 3 in your rankings? If you have such thing as a ranking, not everybody does.
Oh, I do. Of course, I do. It's really tough, of course. But I would say, oh, I don't know if this is. Good question. I've not done a good doctor's ranking in a very long time, purely because I've not been able to go through them all. Um, third doctor, third doctor. Let me just quickly do a ranking in my head. Do you know what? Actually, number three for number three.
I like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll go.
Because A lot of people would assume that it would be that David Tennant would be very high up on that list, and spoiler alert, he's actually not.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's for very valid reasons, I hope. But Matt Smith will always have my heart, and I think that that's why I like Troughton so much. Is what I've been able and lucky enough to have seen is I see where Matt Smith got a lot of that inspiration from. He's
I'm going to need
Troughton.
to know your rankings now. Go on, give us your
Oh,
rankings.
shall I give you a quick one?
Yeah, go on.
Do you want to go from best to worst or worst to
Well,
Whatever you're comfortable with.
worst to best. Go on.
worst to best? Am I including rogue doctors in these, such
Sure.
as
Include who you like.
cool? All right, fine. Last of all, I hate to say it, and I'm really sorry, but it is Colin Baker, and I think a lot of it is just the look. But I don't vibe with him. I appreciate that in Big Finish he is well regarded. I that's just not media that I'm into. And from what I've seen, I'm just not that amazed. And then unfortunately, it would be Jodie Whittaker. Not a big fan of 13 at all. In fact, I think I've mentioned that I've recently got my partner into watching Doctor Who. He's watched a couple of Tenants, but he's not really watched it like any of us have anyway. And he got it straight away that with Doctor 13, unfortunately, she just ain't it. When I think it is the writing, and I know a lot of people go straight to the writing, but it actually is because that doctor explains everything to you that you should already know, or if you didn't know it, you don't need to know it because the doctor is the cleverest person in that room always. I don't need things to be explained to me. Um, then I would probably put Jo Martin just above her because in one episode she managed to steamroll over and make me believe that that was the doctor. I think I have a bit of a thing for me where need to have a doctor moment. And that's why those two are so low, is just because it took me either longer or I just didn't get it. So Fugitive Doctor over there, just wish we had more of her. Then I would go for, I would hate to say it actually. I think I would go for, oh, Ash, you're gonna hate me. I'm not a McCoy girl. He's muted his mic so he can't scream at me. I know, I'm not a McCoy girl, unfortunately. I'm so sorry. I just cannot. I think he's great and I think he's so lovable and fun. I've met him twice. He's lovely. But he's just not for me. It's too childish. And I think that obviously by the time that I'm watching it, I haven't got the nostalgia for it and I'm not young enough to really appreciate that. And I don't mean that as a patronizing way. I just think for me, it's that's just my kind of thing.
Well, I'm on that bombshell. That was Char, and lovely to talk with her.
I am so sorry. I don't mean any offense by it. He's very well loved, just not by me. Lost a friend already. Then I would go. I'd probably go for Davison after that. Oh no, sorry, War Doctor after that. If we're going for County Road Doctors, purely because we didn't get enough of them. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I know they needed a bigger name. We're fans. We are celebrating 50 years of Doctor Who. You could have had McGann for me. And on that note, it will be McGann. Just because he deserves more, and I absolutely love him. Not only as Doctor, but like in person when I've met him, he's such a joy. If you've ever been lucky enough to meet him, he's just lovely. So I'm a big fan, and that Night of the Doctor changed it all for me. So from a Doctor that I'd probably put right at the bottom of the list, he shot straight up. He's still got it. And I loved it. And that's classic Moffat writing that they gave him as well. So I think he worked really well with that. So he would have done amazingly at being or playing the War Doctor after that. Then where then it'd be Davison. Don't know what it is about him. I appreciate he's good. He's a good actor and I like him. And I can't put my finger on why I don't. I think there's more human doctors, I think, than alien doctors. And I need to believe that a doctor's an alien. I don't know if I've done Shooty Gatwa yet, but he's probably on par because I don't believe that he's an alien. And that is where his son-in-law comes in and why David Tennant is quite, well, lower than expected, I think, for a revival person. Because the human element is I can believe he's an alien more than the rest, but I can't. He's been on Earth too long, is the feeling I get. He's acclimatized to to us. And as much as I love him and he does everything perfect. He's funny, he's dark, he's energetic. He can capture you as an audience. I just there's something off, and I do think it is being too familiar with humans. I want him to be an alien. Don't know how many I'm left with, but I am gonna go with who have I missed? I've missed one. First Doctor. There you go. So William Hartnell, purely because he was the first. That's why he's so high. Otherwise, I don't think he would be this high. But I love that he is the grumpy granddad. I know that's what he was supposed to be, and he didn't even start out that way. I think it was more he was just a protective figure and someone that you would genuinely believe is a doctor. But from that first episode, you do get a sense of who he is. But when we get to the 10th planet, which is one of my favorite stories, you see so much more about him, and I love him so much. The way that he has a go at the Cybermen about what it means to have emotions, that's one distinct memory I have that I absolutely love. So that's why he's there. Then it would be, I think we're at number 4 now. And for number 4, I'm actually going to go with number 4, Tom Baker, which is probably going to surprise another more because you're like, well, you said you wanted an alien, and there is no one more alien than Tom Baker. I know that, I get that, but for me, it's more than that. I want to see and believe that there is either an old man in a young man's body. You see where I'm going with this? Or that there's an old soul in there, and yes, he does do that perfectly. I absolutely love the fact as well, I learned this recently, that he didn't smoke or drink in public, to preserve that image of the Doctor for the kids, and I think that's wicked. So I just wanted to make that point. Then of course number 3 is number 3, with Peter Capaldi, or there's my number 2 anyway. There's my number 3 with Jon Pertwee, because I believe that is an old man, even if he is in a younger body. I love how suave he is. I love that they went with a James Bond sort of vibe for him. I think it's perfect. Even down to the sword fighting, I don't care. It's wicked. I love it all. I love the frills. I love the hair. I love the look. I love the way he treats his companions, because it's not always nice, but who cares? He's a doctor. I love that he is the head of a unit almost, and actually has a job. I like that he's earthbound. I think that it's really good to get a doctor that does actually, because if we're going to have a companion, I'm going on a tangent, Ash, sorry. But if we're going to have a companion that's from Earth, and that's the person that we need to relate to, we also need to have that figure that she is with, or the companion is with, to understand why she will react, or the companion will react in a certain way. So I think it's great to have that, and I think his stories are excellent. The writing during it is fantastic, and it does make such a big impact on it. And I've completely forgotten that just above David Tennant is actually Christopher Eccleston. He's my doctor. He's my first. So I love him. I do believe that he's an alien. I do believe that he's got a bit of an old soul in there. Just didn't get long enough, and he has some moments that really put me off him. But I don't know whether it was that knowing what we know now, it was translating on screen, but there seemed to be like times where he'd have really misplaced anger. Like the Doctor himself, I can't give a proper example right now, but I think, in fact, I will. I think it was in Dalek. Not anger at the Dalek, that is very justified, but there just seems to be like a little bit of a competitive streak in the Doctor. I think he also did it with Simon Pegg in The Long Game, where it just seemed like there was a bit, and I don't know where that was coming from. I was just a little bit like, oh. And upon rewatching anyway, that was one that I had. I did a TikTok not that long ago about the journey of a Doctor Who fan, for normal way anyway, and absolutely hating the Doctor that came after the last one. I thought that Eccleston was the best and no one could ever beat him. And I remember so distinctly, me and my mum watched it because she got over the fact that she thought it was weird, and started watching it with me. It became a bit of a routine for her and I, which is lovely. And her swearing blind she was never going to watch it, and me following suit at 10 years old, being like, well, no one's ever going to be like him, and we just had the most emotional farewell. And then I'll never forget it when David Tennant says, so Barcelona, smiles, and my mum went, can't even do the right smile. So it's one of those. So it's really nice to know that you can gel. I'd never had that experience before of a Doctor regenerating, and just having the fact that it was a new face. I think it was explained very well though. But yeah, that would be my only nitpick. There's just something off. I think it's just that he didn't have enough time, and they were basically doing it as a, it was a guinea pig. So they didn't know where they were going. Thank God it did what it needed to do. But my number two, I've already spotted, is Capaldi. That man, oh my God. I can't believe how much I did not appreciate him at the start because I lost my favourite doctor to him. And funnily enough, the bigger Capaldi's hair got, the better he got as a doctor for me. He started off with a bit of a, number two, but when it started fluffing, that was it. He was the one for me. I just didn't like Clara that much. That's my only thing, and that's why I feel bad. I've done my rewatch of Capaldi, and I love him so much even more with Clara. I think Clara and him together are excellent. I know that there's a lot of, I've got being Doctor Who being, the demographic it is, there is a lot of, a lot of guys that I'll talk to who love Clara. And I always used to say, well, I wonder why, because she is very beautiful. But no, actually, I do appreciate that it is because there are moments of Clara that are lovely. But I love Capaldi. I think that his chemistry with his companions and his, the people he's on screen with is phenomenal. That is so rare, I think. I don't think you can have a great actor isn't very good at chemistry, but he can make any, be the star, but also make a supporting actor just as big and feel just as, much, as much there as he is. So I love him, and I just think he was done so dirty. And we should have had more, and I don't think we're going to get it, which is very sad. And to know as well that he was a fan like us, but just more, like times 10, is like a cherry on the cake for me. But of course, my number one, and of course, I've already let you know, but it is Matt Smith, and that is not just because he is a fangirl favourite, but he is everything I want in a Doctor. He is an alien. He is dark. He is funny. He doesn't mind taking the mick out of things. I absolutely love it. I mean, it's so classic, but the one line, there's two lines I remember. One not that significant, but one where I think Amy, Rory, and River are below the console room, and they're chatting away about something. I think it's about him, obviously. And he just like sticks his head down. I was like, I'm upstairs being really clever, and there is no one here to actually enjoy it. What is the point in having you all? And that for me is just so perfect. I love it so much. But yeah, and he's an old man in a young man's body. And I think that my best example I have of that, and when I realised that, was when Clara called him and was like, it's Christmas and you're my boyfriend. It's like, oh, dig dong. Yeah, I mean, I'm probably a bit rusty, but I'll glance at a manual. And that is so perfect for me. That is an alien. That is an old man. That is someone who knows stuff as well. That is someone who I will believe. Anything he says, I'll believe it. There's no question. You're an alien from Gallifrey? Of course you are. Why would I question that? You know advanced quantum physics? Of course you do. Yeah, I'm such a big fan of him, and I think he's really good at darkness. At first, I thought he was going to be too playful. In fact, I saw the interview when he was announced as a Doctor, and I thought he was going to be absolutely god awful, and I ended up falling in love with him in not just the Doctor, but in Matt Smith as well. So it's yeah, he's definitely my top pick, and I don't know if there is anyone that could do it better. I don't think anyone has since, put it that way. But don't worry, McCoy will always have a place in my heart because he is a doctor.
Yeah, I'm glad you just clarified that. So yeah.
A couple of things on the three doctors. I think me and Mrs. W we talk about Doctor. She's a big fangirl as well. We talk about Doctor Who a lot in our house, and we both think we were thinking, if you were in trouble and you wanted the Doctor to save you, which one would it be? And we both said the third Doctor straight away.
Wow.
If any Doctor we could guarantee was going to save us and save everything, it'd be the third Doctor. We went through the reasons why each of the others wouldn't be able to do it, but we would trust with our lives the third Doctor. We trust everything. We trust our cats with the third Doctor, which is saying something.
Oh, I don't know if I do that.
But no, the third Doctor is the Doctor that I think you could absolutely put your house on that he would save the day, whereas the others might be a bit flaky and go off. But the third Doctor would. He's just got something about the third Doctor that makes you trust him and makes you believe. You know, it's like I think one of the later Doctors said, you just make people want to impress you, and the third Doctor does it without even trying. There's something trustworthy, and yeah, this guy will get things done. This guy will get everything sorted. He'll sort it. He'll sort it more than any of the others. He's not my favorite. I mean, if you ask me, he's number four for me. But when I was young, when I was very young, when I was started watching it, I hated the Third Doctor. I loathed the Third Doctor when I was young. I thought he was everything I hated as a young rebellious lefty. He's just a member of the Tory party being the Doctor, and he don't read the subtlety. He's actually an anarchist dressed up as a member of the Tory party. So
Yeah,
he's an
yeah.
anarchist dressed up as a member of the
Love
establishment.
that.
He's a Buddhist eco warrior disguised as the establishment. And I didn't notice that at the time, but I think he's fantastic. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And another thing, I don't understand why, and I've thought about this. I've never said it before. Why the third and the second Doctors defer to the first Doctor? Because that's like me getting advice off my 15-year-old self who knew nothing.
Very good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Damn it, why have you done that?
Sorry. It's what
No,
I
it's
do,
okay.
don't I,
I
Ash?
think, well, oof.
Well, it's in reality, it's probably just because Hartnell's older, isn't
He
it?
looks older, yeah, but he's the younger
yeah.
one. But he's the younger one by a long way.
I'd probably say he's the most sensible though.
Hmm.
Out of the
That's
three, I would say, he's the one that I would listen to, not the one I'd save, but I love that you have those conversations with your wife though.
Oh,
That's a
yeah,
great conversation.
she's
For me, it
you
would
love her.
be
She's fab.
I love that. Did you
Yeah,
make her a Doctor Who fan or was she already one?
she was a sort of casual fan until we got married, and then she's a big fan. She's River Song cosplay without even trying it. So she's that type of. She's got gigantic curly hair like that, and our house is actually called River Song as one word.
Oh my God, I love it so much.
Yeah,
That's great. That's
but yeah,
great.
she's become a huge fan since we've been together. So, but she always liked it, but was never a
Yeah.
fan. But now
Yeah.
she's a huge fan, and it was the tenant year that made her a massive fan. And we watched God, about 2 or 3 years ago, we watched it from the beginning to the end, watching an episode a night. And yeah, the third Doctor blew us away. How good he was, and how consistent the writing was in his era. It
Oh,
was
I'm so
just the
pleased.
best era. There's such great subtle continuity all the way through his era, and subtle bits. You don't
Yeah, there
have to
is.
watch it every week, but for the long-term viewers, there's stuff there that you think, oh right, okay.
No,
But
yeah, I think most consistently well written era
yeah, 100%.
today. I think there's very few stinkers in there.
Yeah,
There is. It's a
Everything's
very strong tenure.
yeah. The only one I could.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm really interested in this. You've really piqued my interest on this whole what doctor would you choose to save you? I love
Yeah,
that. I am going to disagree slightly, but I'd love to know your reasons because for me it would be Capaldi because he would save me, but my God, you'd get a rollicking for it. Wouldn't you? He'd come and scold you and then he'd save you.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a conversation I want to do something on that now. That's something that's an
And
idea
the
you've
other
got.
and the other one we have is, which Doctor would you like to hang out with?
Oh God, there's so many.
Yeah,
There's so many.
but you have to
I'd
choose
love.
one, and the reason why as well.
Okay, okay, fine. I'm
okay.
trying to think. I mean, I already know who it would be. It would be the Fourth Doctor.
Yeah,
And my reason being is because I feel like that doctor would be the one to tell me the most, to give me the most stories of life back on Gallifrey. Or maybe not actually, because he was quite the runaway in his first story, wasn't it? Well, just after he regenerated anyway, so maybe not. But that would be my pick. He would be my pick.
marvelous.
Very sad
Can
that he's not looking too hot right now.
He looks frail, doesn't he? He looks
He
very frail.
does, yeah.
Poor guy.
But he keeps going though, so fair play to him.
Okay. Now, just going back on to Pertwee though for a second, yeah, and I'm just throwing this in really just to have the story. Yeah. But when I met Jon Pertwee back in the 90s, yeah, I know. But the thing was, I reckon, the reason that you like him so much, he does have the X factor. Now, I'm not just saying that because I was starstruck, because I don't always get very starstruck. But when he walked in the room, he was just, I mean, we were all there as fans anyway, but he was there in all his friendly stuff and what have you. And he just got a presence. You just can't, like, he just got a presence. And it's not just because I was a Doctor Who fan. There's just something different about him. Like you can't put your finger on it. But I think it's his stature, the way he stands, the way he holds himself,
I think
everything.
he
He's the man.
Say that before playing the Doctor, he didn't actually know who he was, which is a feeling I totally relate to. I'm in mid-40s. I still have no idea who I am. But, he'd always masked. He'd always played characters and always played it for laughs. And when he said, how do you want me to play this part? And he said, just be yourself. He said, I have no idea who that is. So,
Oh,
for all intents and purposes, the third Doctor is Jon Pertwee. That's him. That's the first time he ever tried to find out who he was. So I think that magnetism, it's in the character, but I think that is just him. That is
yeah.
Jon.
Oh, that's a lovely story. But both those actually.
What about you then, Sean? So you've met Sylvester McCoy twice, I know. I think you said. Um, I hang on to that. Yeah.
You
Um,
can hang on to that. I wished
yeah.
him a happy birthday, and
Oh,
he
well,
was
there we
just and it was at a convention in Derby, and I didn't know, but I'd been given not that this was not planned. I don't think they meant to do this, but they gave me a different wristband, and this was a place where you just go and like pop your lunch and your bags and stuff. And I just sat down, and because I didn't even think about it, I didn't think of who I was sitting next to. And I was just eating, and then I heard this voice. I thought, God, that sounds familiar. And I look over, and literally, probably well, you can't see a distance, I guess, but say a couple of seats at a big dining table. There's Sylvester McCoy speaking with Sophie Aldred, and I was just like, in my head, I was on the outside. I'm sure I looked really cool, but on the inside, I was like, that is Sylvester McCoy in front of me. And I was just munching on my wrap, and then thought I'm gonna this. It I felt like I was intruding almost, so I left, and then literally opened the door, and there he was, and I was just like, I know you must get this all the time. Great to meet you, and happy birthday or belated birthday. He went, oh my God, is it my birthday? I tend to forget nowadays. And then just said thank you and asked if I was having a nice time, and it was such a lovely, intimate venue as well. That you got to meet so many people. It's like I say, it's Hooverville in Derby. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. They don't charge you through the nose. You're not all crammed in. It's a lovely summer day when they do it as well. But I would say not that I've got a claim to fame with Doctor Who. I haven't. Um, but I suppose apart from like being like knowing some people in Big Finish, but that's not really my claim to fame. It's just people that I chat to. But a funny story that I think I have told before was Matt Smith didn't actually live that far away from me. I'm in Leicestershire, and he used to play for Leicester for football. So he didn't live that far away from me, and obviously I did not know that that was going to be Doctor Who at one point because he must have only been younger. Anyway, so I'm going to this convention. My mum absolutely knows how much I love him, and that my destiny is that one day I'm going to be with a doctor. So, as a stupid little fangirl, obviously I did not believe it, but jokingly said, I am going to go there and I'm going to give Matt Smith my number, and then the universe can decide what happens from there on in. Now, I wrote my number down because my mum said, you'll never do it. You will never ever do it. Anyway, so I did it and pretended to put it in my pocket. Anyway, away. But before I'd left, I like got rid of it somehow. I don't know where I put it. But I just sort of took it out of my pocket like a stupid notion. Sure, don't do it. Then got there, met him. It was very, very lovely. Like you said, 30-second chat, but feels like forever because you're just so in awe. Um, and then I got a text. I went to go and pull out my phone. Got a text from my mum just saying, "Did you do it?" I was like, "What is she talking about?" Anyway, I went to go and grab something else and felt a bit of paper in my pocket. She'd put it back in my pocket. So it could have been, you could have been talking to Mrs. Smith, but here we are. What are we gonna do? Um, Not a claim to fame, actually, a very embarrassing story of me as being younger, but I love it.
Do you know what? That might be a good time to finish on that bombshell. Bloody hell! Yeah, yeah. Do you know what? You did really well to this is just hearsay, but I was at a convention and the people were struggling to keep pin Sylvester McCoy down at his desk because he just wanted to go everywhere. And I heard them talking. They were like, well, "Where is he?" And I go, "Well, I've just found him now. He's taking some of the pens off the desk. He was graffitiing the toilet stall doors. He was putting row ties and signing the doors." Yeah, apparently. I mean, I might be wrong.
I'll believe it. I don't care
Yeah,
if it's true or not.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
believe that.
So there we go. you ever go to Wrexham, you find a toilet door with Sylvester McCoy's signature on. It's genuine. So-
I feel like I might need to get in my car.
Yeah. Well, and on that bombshell, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
And for the first time, it is goodbye from me.